Welcome, YouTube. Welcome back to my live stream. We are going to be talking tonight about men, male loneliness, why modern men are so crushingly alone, and how we're going to fix it. And in fact, what we must do to fix it. We're going to talk about that here tonight. So thank you for joining me. If you are a man out there who's alone, if you're a man who feels lonely, if you're a man who doesn't feel loved, if you're a man who doesn't remember the last time you got a hug, or it's been 5 years since you got a hug, if you're a man out there with very few friends, if you're a man out there with no friends, if you're a man out there who doesn't have a family or a partner or anybody who cares about you, if you're a man out there who has those things but still feels alone, if you're a man out there who is overwhelmed with loneliness, tonight we are going to talk about what we must do to start working on that. Okay, this is a topic very near and dear to my heart. I am a man. I have two sons. I have a lot of male family members, and I have a lot of male friends. And I have worked with a tremendous number of lonely men through the years, both as a psychotherapist for years and now as a coach. I talk a lot about male depression, male loneliness, male issues all over Twitter, especially. Well, shout out if you're here for my Twitter feed. I talk a lot about male issues here on my YouTube channel as well. About 2/3 of you guys are males. So a lot of the content is geared toward men over here. Um, a lot of work on men and male issues throughout the course of my life, and I will continue to do so. I have a tremendous amount of pro masculinity content coming very soon, healthy masculinity, not caricature masculinity, not fake masculinity, not swaggering masculinity, honest, authentic, secure masculinity. That information is coming soon. Thank you for joining me over in chat. Dozer, good to see you. You will always be Dozer in my eyes, but I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Men, male loneliness, how overwhelming it is. If you guys have men in your life, it is almost certain that they are dealing with loneliness. The research recently has come out that shows about 66% of young men aged 25 and under are dealing with an overwhelming amount of loneliness, and they report significant loneliness every single day to the point almost of depression, or perhaps even into depression, or even into maximum depression. Large quantities of loneliness. At the same time, 2/3 of men in that age group are now single. Interestingly, involuntarily single. 2/3 of young men are now single and don't want to be. 66%. 34% of women in that age group actually are single. So you might be wondering, where are all the women? Well, the women usually are dating older men, or not dating, or dating each other, or are multiple dating the same man and don't even know it, or do know it. Um, Overwhelming amounts of loneliness. There's also, though, a lot of research showing that a lot of men don't have physical contact, physical affection, right? I post all the time on Twitter. Hey guys, when was the last time you got a hug? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Hey guys, when was the last time you got a compliment? I remember 8 years ago, I was in this grocery store and an old woman said that a t-shirt looked really good on me, and I've worn that t-shirt every single week since then, hoping that somebody else would see it too, or just knowing that I look really good in it, right? Compliments from little old ladies last like 5 years for men. So over in chat, hey Max, good to see you in here. I'd really like to stay, but I'm at work. I'll catch you later. Dozer, thank you for being here. I appreciate you making the time even to pop in. Thank you very, very much. Male loneliness, okay? Where does it come from? A number of places. A number of places. Let's dissect this really fast so we see where it comes from. Number one, it comes from the attachment epidemic that's happening throughout the United States, especially, but throughout the world. The attachment epidemic of, I grew up with caregivers who didn't meet my needs. I don't believe either that people will care about me, or that I deserve to be cared about, or that people are capable of caring. I feel alone and isolated from other people, and I never learned to form connections with people on an intimate level. There's a big piece of male loneliness right there. Just never being shown through childhood that it's even possible to connect with other people. There's a big piece. Now, if you are able to connect, you do have good caregivers. You get into social circumstances, right? Where men, especially here in America, are often punished for being boys, right? Boys, especially in the school systems, are punished and they're treated like defective girls. So you're constantly trying to dodge all these behaviors. You're not supposed to wrestle. You're not supposed to play rough. You're not supposed to tease. You're not supposed to do any of the activities that a normal male with testosterone would do. Those things are punished. They're disciplined out. I remember years back. My eldest son we took him to a little fair. They had a festival going on, and one of the big bouncy castles, right? And I remember sending my son up into it and standing there watching, but I also stood back and observed. And the entire outside of the bouncy castle was ringed in moms yelling at their kids through like all of it. There was these little boys trying to bounce and play. The whole outside was just covered in moms screaming at their kids, screaming directions while their kids were just trying to jump and play. And it was, you couldn't even get through this mob of screaming moms yelling instructions at their children inside the bouncy castle. All these like super confused little boys in the bouncy castle trying to hop and play, like freaking out that everybody's screaming at them. It was a horrifying. It was awful. I pulled my kid out of there pretty quick. Once he played, I didn't scream at him. I pulled him out once he got to play a little bit. Um, but that's our society in a nutshell, right there. Is our society is the bouncy castle of young boys growing up with nothing but angry women screaming at them throughout the entire thing. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt somebody else. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Don't do this. Don't breathe wrong. Don't jump that way. Right. That's society right there as a whole. So men grow up having to deny every aspect of that masculinity as well. Hide, conceal, cover. Anybody out there enjoy Frozen? That's how a lot of young men actually feel. Conceal, don't feel. I don't even know if I'm going to get sued saying that, but there you go. That's a big part of it as well. Then men are not initiated into masculine bonding. Now, masculine bonding usually takes place with vasopressin. Vasopressin is the bonding hormone we don't hear much about, right? Women thrive on oxytocin, men thrive on vasopressin. We actually have more receptors for it. We need to get initiated into vasopressin bonding. It comes about when you resolve stress together, when you accomplish tasks together, you accomplish a goal together, you hit a milestone together, you do something as a team and your stress goes down, and your brain says, we are a team. We're allies. You are valuable. If you have seen a buddy cop movie where they hate each other and then love each other by the end of it, that's vasopressin. They don't even have to like each other, right? Gangs use this. Military uses this. Construction workers use this, right? Companies use this. Vasopressin bonding through team building exercises. It's huge. Men need to be initiated into this, though, by other men, especially fathers, grandfathers, uncles, male cousins. You get initiated into male bonding, into masculine vasopressin bonding by knowing that you can solve problems with other people. Incredibly important. Rites of passage. There you go, Maxwell. Exactly. We don't have rites of passage much anymore. So, rites of passage are partly initiating you into this cycle. You need to be a man others can rely on, but we're also going to go through stress together and resolve it. Rites of passage are resolving your stress together and initiating that. Um, all of this builds masculinity, right? Healthy attachment, and then masculinity, and being able to be clear and direct and do what you need and express that testosterone. And then vasopressin bonding builds brotherhood. And Synth, I see you over there and saying brotherhood. Exactly. Men don't have brotherhood anymore because the pillars of brotherhood have been smashed. They've been eroded. They've been destroyed. I'm not saying anybody has done it on purpose. I don't think every single mom out there in the world is purposely stomping down masculinity. In fact, I don't believe that at all, that they're purposely doing that. But it's happening. Okay. Masculinity has died in the West. A gigantic portion of men died and died and died through multiple wars, through all kinds of issues. And then women were raised to pick up the slack. Women picked up the slack. Okay. Women stepped into masculine roles to provide for the family, to protect, to guide, to raise the kids, to deal with men who are checked out. A gigantic portion of women rose up with masculine energy, raising families where men failed. Not every man, but masculinity essentially died in the West. Women tried to nurture it and make it come back, but women can't teach men to be men. It just doesn't work. Okay. Men came back henpecked, scared, nervous, worried, disastrous. Then you got red pill. Okay. Red pill is like the teenager version of masculinity. It's not the adult version of masculinity, you guys. Red pill is the teenager version. Okay. We are now emerging into what is more, I don't want to say like a new renaissance of healthy masculinity, but we need to bring it back. We need to bring back vasopressin bonding. We need to bring back roughness with men, but with each other, controlled strength. We need to bring back discipline. We need to bring back masculinity. For men to not be lonely, they need to step in and embrace their masculinity in a way that they've never been allowed to do before. Okay? Men need to become more masculine. They need to step beyond what they are allowed to do. And I'm not saying break consent. I'm saying step beyond the social taboos of being clear and direct with your communication. of doing what you know is right, of setting goals and standards for yourself, of holding other people accountable for moral conduct and ethical conduct. Not saying put your religion on them. I'm saying truly ethical conduct. I think we can agree that there's objectively ethical conduct out there. Stepping into that masculine then creates safety and stability in you that other people can trust and rely upon. Then you reach out directly to one other person and you have that safety and stability. People rely upon that and feel safe in your presence. Okay, let's talk about this really quick. One of the earliest methods of recorded pieces of order and structure and positive masculinity was Hammurabi's code. Now, Hammurabi ruled way back, dawn of human history, essentially, recorded history, and he had his code, his rules, his laws for his city inscribed on pillars throughout his city in multiple languages. If you walked into his city, you knew what he was about. You knew the rules. If you followed the rules, you would not be harmed. If you broke the rules, the punishments were right there and you knew what you were doing. So he was consistent, he was clear, he was direct, he was stable, and you were safe as long as you followed what he said. Very simple. Now, this is not meant to be domineering, to be tyrannical, to be controlling over others. It is, if you wish to share my space, here is your expectation. That's masculinity. It's also responsibility. It's embracing responsibility. I am responsible in myself, and therefore I am responsible to be authentic and to be honest and forthright and to be an honorable man. If you choose to take on responsibility for those around you, you embrace that responsibility and you make them feel safe. Okay? Important. Hawk, I see you over there. You shaved. Yeah, I finished a big filming barrage and a tour and everything. I needed to clear out the undergrowth, right, and take care of the skin and regrow it. So here we are. Here we are. Men need to establish order in themselves, and then they need to establish order in their environment. This again does not mean taking control of others, but if others choose to allow you to provide stability for them, then you step into that responsibility. You can offer safety and stability for others. This is how you cease to be lonely because people will want to be in your presence. Nobody wants to be in the presence of an undisciplined, unpredictable man who gives in to fear. Let me say that again. Nobody wants to be in the presence of a man who is unstable and unpredictable and gives in to fear. Nobody has time for him, and nobody feels safe around him. For men to stop being lonely, they must embrace masculinity, authentic, secure, honorable masculinity. That is the answer. Now, it is also the answer for how to fix the world at the same time, you guys. It is the answer for how to fix our world. Our world is not somehow over masculine. Our world is under masculine. Masculinity is missing in our world. Authentic, secure, mature masculinity is missing from our world. We have swaggering, fake characterization of masculinity. We have teenager masculinity. We have angry, resentful lack of masculinity. Okay. But we do not have secure, mature, authentic, responsible masculinity in this world. And that is what creates safety and stability. That's what creates safety and stability for you and for others. It's what makes people crave your presence. It's what makes people respect you and want to be around you. And here's what's cool about that. When you have authentic masculinity, you can then talk to somebody else and say, I really like being around you. I would love to spend more time and I would like to get to know you. Can we be friends? That's not a lack of masculinity. That is very clear. Masculine communication is direct, It is explicit with desire. It is clear. It is stable. It is consistent, right? Masculine communication, very direct, very clear. How do we get it back globally? Good question, Simp. From the ground up. From the ground up. We teach men everywhere, all of them who will listen. I have clients coming to me at 18 years old. I have people in my private Discord community. I have you guys here in this chat. I've so many videos on this channel. I have an Instagram. I have a Twitter. I have something like 500,000 followers right now across my platforms, at least. I think that's actually gone up. That was the last time I checked. I am growing. Other people are growing. Now, Tate is an interesting person. I see you guys mentioning him over there in the chat. Tate's an interesting person. He teaches so far sort of a teenager version of masculinity, not a full understanding of authentic, mature masculinity. But I saw something very interesting from him the other day. Somebody asked him, "Would you ever consider marriage?" And his answer was fascinating. He said, "In my younger days, I would not have said yes. And I've spoken out against it." Something I'm paraphrasing a bit here. But now I'm understanding that love is worth something. Love is worth trying. I think that it is worth giving it a shot and rolling the dice. He's coming to understand a more authentic, mature version of masculinity, I believe, right? Jordan Peterson, I see you mentioning him over there in the chat. Jordan Peterson, he is moving from questioning and trying to understand, right? He's questioning and trying to understand. I think he's probably moving more into a space of making statements, making clarity, being more direct. I'd like to think that that maybe is where he's moving into is here is guidance, right? So many young men look to Jordan Peterson for answers, and he supposes and he thinks, and it's very interesting that he does this. Leading into a mentor model would be very interesting, clear and direct, right? I think he's the step that we need right before the dawn happens. Okay. Hopefully he's following a similar path to Roosh V. Roosh V is very interesting, right? I was following Roosh V. I followed him. I should say I wasn't following him. I've read of his stuff. I've read his stuff. I remember studying him way back in the day as a psychology enthusiast, as I was going through all my trainings and everything, thinking this is fascinating. These men's studies, his answers back then were not good answers. But again, teenager masculinity. He was in the teenager rebirth of masculinity. Roosh V has since unpublished all of his books that were harmful and has led a full conversion, is now trying to lean into a new, mature masculinity. I think he's trying to get there, right? I think a lot of people are trying to get there. And I think that the reason men are so lonely is because they are terrified of actually speaking up about what they need. Men are used to having their needs ignored. They're used to having their needs stomped down. They're used to being punished for even having needs. They're used to having the ring of women around the bouncy castle that we talked about, that society screaming at them. So they're petrified to jump or bounce or breathe or move. I think the answer, and I know the answer here, is masculinity, secure masculinity, secure attachment masculinity, authentic masculinity, the sort of masculinity that provides stability, protection, safety, clarity, right? Clear, direct masculinity. That's what's needed here. Now, when a man steps into his masculine, people desire to be in his presence, and he no longer has to hold back. And I mean that in the best of ways, right? He no longer has to hold back on his needs of asking for time, asking for connection, asking for bonding, of getting a hug, right? Nobody wants to be around a non-masculine, unpredictable, unsafe man, but everyone wants to be around a safe, predictable, masculine man. Switch yourself. How can a man ask for his needs to get met without sounding and demanding like a simp? Hey, I am going to provide this for you. In return, I need this. For this to work, here is the balance we need to strike. I am not going to try to take everything from you that I can get for the minimum. I'm going to give generously to you and care for you. In return, this is the need that I have. Are you willing to meet my need? Does that sound like a simp? That's leadership, actually, is what that is. I'm going to hire you and I'm going to pay you and I'm going to be generous with you. And in return, here is your job description. Is this a satisfying arrangement for you so that we can take care of each other and achieve things together? Is it a simp to run a business? The essence of masculinity is to be comfortable in leadership, not being the boss and taking control and domineering. That's the opposite, actually, of really decent, secure masculinity. That's teenager masculinity. But the essence of masculinity is to be ready for leadership. Um, there's a great book. There's a great book. What is the title of that book? I'm on Watch, I think is what it's called. I'm on Watch or On My Watch. Um, and it's a man from the Navy who writes about when you are on watch, when it's your time, you take ownership. Every man has watch over something. Women do too. I'm just speaking tonight about masculinity. I'm speaking tonight specifically to men. So, ladies, don't take it that I'm not speaking about you, but just specifically. Every man has his watch. He is watching over something. It begins with yourself. You have watch over yourself. Okay? Who else do you over in time take watch over? Who else do you take responsibility for? That's masculinity. Okay? Aragorn over in chat. I see that. Yes, Aragorn is a beautiful example of masculinity. He's a beautiful example of denying your masculinity, denying the responsibility, running away and hiding, and then stepping forward fully into your responsibility to yourself, to those around you, to your family, ultimately to the whole world. His kingship, right? Every man goes to a certain point, and you don't have to become a king and be responsible for the world. It's not you don't have to do that, but masculinity is found in responsibility. The two go hand in hand. Discipline, responsibility, honor, all of these are part and parcel of masculinity, and they can't be separated from it. There's no incentives for authentic masculinity apart from your own community, many of which have been destroyed. Are we speaking socially or are we speaking biologically? Because Maxwell, I understand what you're saying, but I think that the incentives for masculinity spring from biology, and I think men are dying. And what's the young people phrase nowadays? Unaliving themselves, eating themselves in mass numbers because their masculinity is being denied. We need to fix that. Cappy girl, I'm glad that you're here. Being direct and asking for their needs is very attractive in men. It's sexy to see a man ask for what he wants. Exactly. That's exactly right. Exactly. There are great men everywhere. They're quietly getting on with it as men do, but we've let them down so badly. We've devalued men what are and bring. We've devalued masculinity. We have. We absolutely have. We absolutely have. You are right. And Hawk, I see that you agree with that. No social incentives. There you go, Maxwell. Agreed. Um, socially in the West, correct. Apart from in your family, with your friends, in your community, maybe in your religious organization, right? Wherever you are, there are huge incentives for masculinity. Maybe your culture doesn't value them, but your local environment does. And that's where we need it most. Yes, we need masculinity on the public stage. We need it globally. Yes, we do. Authentic, secure masculinity. We do. But we need it locally first. It needs to come up. Every man here has the power to change the world through your local environment. But you also have the power to save yourself and indulge your needs in the right way, to embrace your needs, to become a person you are proud of, to draw in people who will respect you, to stop being lonely. What saves the world ultimately will save you. So if you're not driven by saving a decadent world, save yourself. You'll ultimately save the world by saving yourself in this regard. Authentic masculinity is what's needed. And Maxwell, to your point, you don't find authentic masculinity in the mainstream. Perhaps, but you do find it streaming on YouTube. I am a version of authentic masculinity. Okay? There's going to be other versions. There's going to be dudes way more jacked than me. There's going to be dudes way more hot than me. There's going to be dudes way more rich than me. Okay. I am a version of secure, authentic masculinity. You find it places. People are hungry for it. Okay. The world has not outgrown its need for men. The world has outgrown its patience with weak men. Think about that for a moment. Masculinity has always been in fashion and always will be where it matters most. Men are obsessed with the Roman Empire. I was just watching, my son is 7. We just watched a documentary last night about the Roman Empire. It was fascinating. He's 7. We were debating whether Julius Caesar was a good man or a bad man. Men are fascinated with masculinity throughout history, but we're also fascinated with men passing down solutions to future generations, which is part of responsibility. Okay. Hawk, another lesson to learn from Lord of the Rings is men need fellowship with other men with similar goals and values. We do! Hawk, you've been paying attention. I have a video here on this channel not that long ago that I just released called Don't Get a Girlfriend, Get a Male Friend Instead, and specifically why male friendship is crucial to your bonding. I would argue more crucial to your well being as a man than having a female partner is male friendship. More crucial to your well being. The worst thing a man can do when he is alone and scared is go try to find a girlfriend. Put this in perspective. 20,000 years ago, based on what your biology is for, our brains have not evolved in 20,000 years. So 20,000 years ago, you are a man who's scared, alone, and naked in a forest with a stick. You have no family you can count on, no friends. What do? Do you go and find a girlfriend and start having babies? No. You'll all die. Or you'll get killed and she'll get taken away. Life was harsh. You'll both get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. What do you do if you're alone and starving and naked in the woods and all you have is a pointy stick? Well, you find other men who are alone and hungry and naked in the woods, and you band together and you start collecting resources and you fight off predators and other tribes and you hunt bigger game and you claim a territory so you don't have to roam naked through the forest. And one man shares his knowledge of how to make clothing. The other man shares his knowledge of how to make spears properly. Another man shares his knowledge about how to make huts. You band together and form a group. Actually, this is how Rome formed, was a bunch of people traveling who were outcasts from other cities. Rome was a city formed around outcasts who banded together for safety. Okay. Then you start building and you create order and structure. And once your society has been formed around male friendship and the security that masculinity brings, only then do you have safety to then introduce families, women, anything besides survival. That's how Rome formed. It wasn't glorious. Rome was pretty bloody and ugly, but the same thing is true here. As Rome formed, so goes masculinity. If we want to rebuild masculinity in the world, we need to learn from the formation of the city of Rome and as it grew to power. All the ladies watching this were laughing about the Roman Empire trend on TikTok. Totally with you, but this is why men study Rome. Masculinity is the answer to both problems. How do we make men less lonely? By helping them band together with other men through masculinity and masculine bonding and directness and clarity and purpose and honor and trust and order and peace and stability. How do we fix the world? All of those same things. Okay? All of those same things. Okay, I got it all out. That's what I needed to say. That is how we are going to fix men. That is how we're going to stop the epidemic toward unaliving selves. That is how we are going to repair society. That's how we're going to fix families. This is how we're going to bring men back into the fold and make it purposeful for their life. This is how we're going to do that. What are your guys' thoughts in chat? What are your thoughts in chat about this? I would love to hear from you guys. And then I am going to turn on members only chat as well, because I'd love to hear from my members as well. Members, you get special priority, you get chat replies, you get all kinds of stuff in here. If you notice, I've responded especially to my members, and I appreciate you guys so much for that. What questions do you guys have on the topic of male loneliness or authentic masculinity? What questions do you guys have? I'm here for it. You guys have been going all night over in chat. Lord of the Flies, but with adults with positive outcome. Yeah, a little bit. I hear you. I hear you. You find those men lonely in the gym with different kinds of sticks with weights on the 100%. Gyms are a good connection point for a lot of men and a lot of growth. How do men contain women? It's less about containing women and more about building safe, stable structures that women can shelter safely within so they feel safe. If you ask any woman what she wants in dating and relationships, the first thing she'll say is to feel safe. Women don't feel safe anymore because predictable, sustainable, authentic, mature, honorable masculinity is lacking. So women have to step into their masculine energy to create protection and safety for themselves, or they have to shiver in fear. It's not about containing women. It is about creating safety and stability so that women can shelter under the roof you create, and then women can fill that space with feminine energy, right? Different things. We need more events tailored to getting men to bond. Church is not it, neither is most bars and clubs. Well, I agree with you. There's a number of ways that men can do bonding, a tremendous number of ways. It's just that men don't understand it, and most men are sitting there petrified in their own brain, thinking they're the only lonely man on earth, and that anything they could ask for would be a burden. So trying to find male friends would burden other people. So all these millions and millions and millions of men are just sitting there saying, "No one wants to be my friend." It is the worst of ironies that if one man reached out, he would find an overwhelming abundance of people craving his friendship. How do you get a man who's not willing to bond with other men or socialize with other men to realize it's something he needs? You can't make somebody do something they won't do. You cannot make them. You can show them a shining example and ask them what's stopping them from doing the same. It's really it. Men need to see that it's possible. Men won't do anything that seems like a waste of time or seems impossible. So if he refuses, he probably believes it's not possible or there's no benefit to it. You need to show him both of those. That's why men need to be a shining example, right? The lighthouse on the hill. Target point, Adam. Women safe and seen. 100%. Selena, seen is a good one too. I appreciate that because that makes you safe, right? You bring value, and then your value is appreciated, and your voice will be heard. Your advice will be heeded. I hear you. What about masculinity from a disability standpoint? Like masculinity as a disability? What do you mean? Or masculinity with a disability? I think that masculinity is masculinity, whether you have a disability or not. It's just that you have something different to offer. I think of Thomas Paine from the American Founding Fathers, right? He wrote a huge amount of material that drove the Americans to stand up and to rise up as a political force. But he himself was suffered with crippling agony and had to spend his days soaking in a bathtub because of a horrific skin problem, if I remember right, or a nerve issue. So huge disability. A tremendous number of men throughout history with disabilities have exuded masculinity. Okay, it's about what you still have to offer. No man is useless. Every man provides something of value. Every man can take some kind of responsibility. Okay? Hawk, pandering a business, I would disagree with a blanket statement. You have to be, oh, a business. I would disagree with that. A blanket statement. You have to be willing to go join a group with the environments. Yes, you need to go join groups and do specific things. I agree with you. Masculinity is not about sitting back waiting for the answer to come to you and for somebody to rescue you either. Masculinity is about taking steps. Okay. Sometimes that means leading and building things for other men. Sometimes that means reaching out to other men. Every man is built a little bit differently. We women are desperately looking for masculinity. When we find safe masculine men, we can relax in our feminine. That's it, Cappy. That's 100% it. Archeon, welcome back. Hey, I'm going to be buying your book about slaying your insecurities after I'm done listening to it. What should I do? Slaying Your Fear is the title of the book. Slaying Your Fear, people who grapple with insecurity, right? 100%. You almost got it. I hear you. Read the book. Focus in on the part in the book that talks about your principles, your honor code, who you are, and building self respect first. That is the first step you should take, Archeon, from that book. It will show you how to build authentic masculinity if you follow that book. Synth, how do you know if you're an authentically masculine man? How do you know if you're in your frame? Frame, I hear that one a lot, and I understand what you mean. I understand exactly. A masculine man is so focused on following his honor code and achieving his purpose and upholding his responsibility that he does not worry about being authentic anymore. Honor code, purpose, responsibility. There you go. If you live by your principles, you're authentic. There you go, Maxwell. You're nailing it. I got that. I got that. You see, same page. I love that. I love that. All right. Great questions here. I am going to turn on members only chat. Let me figure that one out here. Members can chat. Let's do this. If you are a member, even a little bit, or if you want to become a member, it's right down there at the bottom. Become a member, help support the channel. This is your time. So all my members who are here in the channel, comment, ask questions. I am here for you. This is your time, members, as much as you want here at the end. If no members want to talk, that is okay. But what have you members got for me? Let's talk a little bit about this topic and hit me with any personal questions you have on this or any deeper questions. I'd love to share. Shout out to my members who are here. I appreciate you guys. Guys, this is going to be a whole new step. Maxwell Pfeffer, thank you for becoming a supporter. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate you. Lay out your questions for me here in this chat. I am 100% here. I will tell you guys, I have an overwhelming, in a good way, amount of information coming about the positivity of real, authentic masculinity. I'll be pushing back on a lot of big, I have to be careful, not fake masculinity. I need to be careful there. I don't think that people are being fake on purpose. Immature masculinity. I'll be pushing back on immature masculinity and celebrities maybe who embody that in our culture. And I'll be calling them to greater masculinity and trying to hold conversations on that point. You know that I have my podcast. You know that I have that ambitious one. Thank you so much for that support. I appreciate that donation. Thank you so much. Hawk, there you are. Different topic, maybe as a video for later. How do you help your kids to keep a secure attachment or no way to do it when dealing with divorced parents? By building a self-correcting family system based on trust with that child. That's what you do. Even if it's just one of you presenting that opportunity and that opposite effect of the other parent, listening to them, clarifying with them, asking them questions, seeking understanding, cooperating with them during conflict, apologizing when you get it wrong instead of just brushing it off and saying, I'm the parent, I can do whatever I want. Working with them cooperatively as human beings with respect for that dignity, a self-correcting system so that they can then come to you and they want to maintain a sustainable, loving relationship. So they address problems with you instead of running away saying it's hopeless, there's no point, you would never work with me. Okay. That's how you do that, Hawk. Great question. It takes leadership to do that. It takes leadership to do that. It actually, looking at the Eastern philosophies, looking at like Taoism, healthy masculinity contains with it a kernel of feminine energy as well. Feminine energy is the ability to make space for the other person instead of taking space yourself. Now, masculinity claims responsibility and builds security and then offers space to the other person. There's a little bit of feminine energy in there, right? According to Eastern philosophies, at least. That's healthy masculinity. Is the secure masculinity is the ability to build securely, but then step back and offer a hint of feminine energy as well to make space and safety for those under the shelter, right? Masculinity is a roof held up by pillars. That's masculinity, to protect and shelter. That's what you offer to your children, Hawk. It's a great question. I love that. I knew you'd have a good one, Hawk. I knew you would. I knew this would be in your wheelhouse. I have a tremendous amount of material coming on masculinity, you guys, very, very soon, including if you don't do this, she will leave you. Topics like that for men and women. If you do this wrong, ignoring your masculinity and throwing it aside, here's how it will destroy your relationship. If you want to improve yourself as a human being, here's how to do that. If you want to step forward and make better changes in the world, I have a tremendous amount of pro masculinity content coming that women, especially, are going to love because it calls men to the table and bids them do what they are supposed to do so that women are safe and children are safe. But at the same time, I don't shame men. I don't beat up on men. It's been enough of that. There's been enough of that. God forbid. It's not about kicking men or demanding that men do things or that demanding men sacrifice and martyr themselves. It is bring men back to the table and build safety for everyone so that we can then have an honest dialogue. The authentic masculine is being eroded by resentment. I want to fall into red pill, but I know it's wrong. I'm just so hurt. I hear you, Maxwell. It's good that you can identify that. It's okay to be tempted. Masculinity is not never tempted. Masculinity identifies temptation and then chooses to act with reason instead of choosing to react from feelings. Okay, going back to ancient Rome, Stoicism. Feel your feelings and acknowledge them, but understand where they are at and where they're from, and then choose a reasonable course of action based on your honor and who you want to be. Very important. So the fact that you're being tempted is okay. To support what you're talking about tonight, my divorce care group last night, and I asked the gentlemen there what they got out of the group over the last 12 months. Love that, Hawk. It was the fellowship, the coming together, share ideas, struggles. That's it. That's what people need from community. They need masculine structure that protects and guides, and then they need connection with the other people there. Absolutely vital. If we don't have that, we don't have anything. Maxwell, what if you have little to no resources? Men. You need other men first. I have no friends. My family's broken. I'm so alone. Men. If you are naked in the woods with a stick, you find other men and you build a community together first. You build a tribe of lonely, naked, scared men. No sexual content intended. You build a connection. You share skills. You start gathering resources together. You work together to go up. That's how you make it work. That's how Rome was built. Rome got pretty decently sized, right? It started with a bunch of scared dudes in the woods. You're starting at the same place. Men. You need other men. You got me, which is good. You got this community. You got my private community, guys. I have a private Discord community for this. You have tons of online communities. You have a tremendous amount of options that most men have run away from and hidden from and let fall apart. Lots of options. Meetup app might be of help, perhaps. Exactly. Right? Gym membership, boxing classes. You know where men are finding a lot of connections? Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's not the best martial art in the world. I don't hate it. It's just not the best. You know, I have others that I prefer. But Brazilian jiu-jitsu has an overwhelming community component to it and an overwhelming amount of trust that your sparring partner is not going to snap your ribs or your bone or your legs or your neck. A lot of trust, a lot of guidance and teaching and mentorship, and a lot of community. An overwhelming number of men are finding enormous support in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I'm so incredibly avoidant, and that's the problem, Maxwell, is men are avoiding. You avoid when you don't believe that connection is possible, that safety is possible, that community is possible, that brotherhood is possible. There's an old saying from Iceland: "Bare is the back of a brotherless man," meaning your back is naked because you can't watch it by yourself if you don't have someone to watch over you. Bare is the back of a brotherless man. I don't know how they say it in Icelandic. I don't even know what language they speak in Iceland. Is it Icelandic? Is it what do they speak? Somebody help me out. Is it Danish? I don't know. Um, Bare is the back of a brotherless man. And that's the message I want to close out with today. Bare is the back of a brotherless man. We are not meant to be men in isolation, and we are not to be feminine men. We are not meant to be purse dogs. We are not meant to be slaves. We are not meant to be consumers. We are meant to be men among brothers. And only then do we become truly desirable and safe for a wife and for children. A couple of examples I can give you, Maxwell. As I said, one of the gentlemen I have in that group, Jiu-Jitsu does it. There's hiking groups and there's improv classes. I love it. Maxwell and Hawk, you guys need to link up and connect. You guys need to talk. You guys need to talk. Talk in the comments or share emails or something like that. I don't know how you would do that here on YouTube, but you guys need to link up. You guys need to talk. Um, do not be alone in this world, men. If you are lonely, grow your masculinity and find other men who are doing the same because you are not alone in that either. Build this together. I am here. Other men are here. We are growing and we will continue to grow. The world is growing and we are moving forward. Move forward with us. And to all the women who are watching, thank you for supporting healthy men. Thank you for making spaces for healthy men. Thank you for trying to raise healthy men. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for calling men to account. Thank you for not stomping on men. Thank you for loving men. And thank you for having standards for men. We need all of that too. All right, guys, I'm going to go. As a man, I have a family to take care of. I'm going to go spend a little bit of time with my family. If my kids are awake, play with them. If my wife is still doing whatever, help her with chores and spend some time together with her. So, Hawk, Maxwell, you guys link up. You guys connect over emails at least, or whatever it's going to be. Connect somehow. We'll figure it out. Until then, guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you real soon.